I took to the internet to ask for your unpopular opinions about anything. Without further ado, let's hop right into it. The K-pop Demon Hunters soundtrack were the songs of the summer, except all the adults were too busy complaining about there being no song of the summer to notice that the kids were having an incredible monoculture moment all to themselves. This, my friend, is the truth. The K-pop Demon Hunters soundtrack and film was really one of the only monocultural music and film moments of the year. Even if you haven't watched it, you've heard about it or seen talk about it online. It's pretty inescapable and also shows the importance of content made for kids. It's still resonant, important, and when done well, can be very impactful. Generic trap music, Lil Baby, Young Thug, 21 Savage is dead, and that's evidenced by the reception to Young Thug's album both critically and commercially. I will say, I don't think it's fair to categorize the entirety of their music as generic trap. I think they all have some risk-taking moments, especially Young Thug. But if we're talking specifically about their recent releases, and yes, they have been pretty generic. And I do think that kind of minimalist trap sound is being phased out, and we're getting 2000s flavored trap or rage music with artists like Playboi Carti really taking off in a major way. And honestly, a lot of avant-garde styles have been taking off recently. I think thanks in part to people like Kendrick. The general public are craving something different. Kelly Clarkson is a great singer, but not the best talk show host. I think Kelly Clarkson has gotten better as a talk show host. At first, she would cut people off a lot. I like that her conversations often feel like friends just talking. Jennifer Hudson, on the other hand, does not conduct interviews well. She doesn't drive the conversation, she's awkward, gives one-word responses. I think they're on the opposite ends of the spectrum. Kelly Clarkson did a bit too much, and Jennifer Hudson does so little when it comes to interviewing. Boneless wings are better than regular wings. I think it just depends on the day for me. I'm not particularly swayed in either way. This is regarding movies. While I appreciate that the message of Mean Girls is that everyone should just be themselves, I hate that fans of the movie try to wash or downplay Regina's villainous role on it. Like, she clearly enjoyed hurting other people, including her own friends, and having control and power over people. Yes, I've seen this trend pop up more with popular shows or movies with a villain, where people try to paint the good guy as the villain. I don't know if it's attention farming or just being a contrarian, but I find it so annoying. It's the same as when people tried to act like Sharpay was a hero, and Gabriella was the true villain, or that Tori Vega was some crazy villain. Characters like Sharpay and Regina George were literally mean girls. Sure, they have admirable qualities, whether that be fashion or being career-driven in Sharpay's case, but they are still unmistakably villains. I think in many cases people want to find a reason to validate their reason for enjoying a villain, but you don't need a reason. If that's a character you enjoy watching because they bring the drama, or you enjoy their story, that's fine. It's no need to exalt them and pretend that their character wasn't just a bad person at times. Coffee is gross, and the way some people make it their whole personality is embarrassing. In my opinion, real deal coffee lovers are rare. Most people that I've met like coffee because of the energy it gives them and the boost of it. Not that they genuinely love coffee and are infatuated with particular brands and tastes of it. I think real coffee heads are rarer than people think. I don't think coffee is disgusting, but I don't think it's good either. But I'm not mad at this opinion because I understand it. The Spice Girls should be in the conversation of great girl groups of the 90s. The fact that they were British and multiracial, the group is never on the same list as TLC, SWV, Escape. I feel like the Spice Girls are mentioned a ton. I mean, they are one of the defining figures of the 90s. And they had an extremely short run, but their run was so big and impactful. Groups in general don't tend to get to have every member be a public successful figure decades after their last album. But the Spice Girls individually and collectively can still maintain some form of success and press when they want to. If you're talking about music, I feel like they are fairly rated as well. I wouldn't rate their discography on the same level as TLC's or SWV's, and I think the Spice Girls' best work came early in their career. Fifth Harmony should practice more for their comeback stage. Sorry not sorry, but what a mess it was. Always acting like 4 solo artists when doing a group show. So lame and very disappointing. After so many years, they are lackluster the same way. It's like they don't care they look a mess. I am very disappointed by the way they treat their practice. You can clearly see they just practice it like an hour before. K-pop groups spend hours in practice rooms so they don't look like a mess, but like a full group. They can't do that with 4 members, yet 17 or NCT can. And how many members do these groups have? More than 10. That's embarrassing for the girls. To be honest, I forgot this even happened. I thought it was fine nostalgia bait, but nothing to write home about. Dr. Pepper doesn't taste good. I'm not really a fan of soda in general, but I do like that you can drink Dr. Pepper continuously without that soda burn in the back of your throat. Music of the Sun is honestly really underrated because of Rihanna's impressive catalog. Her first album often gets overlooked, which is a shame. It's a really solid album. Both singles slap, and a personal highlight to me is Willing to Wait. It just has a really nice 90s R&B vibe. I have to disagree. Music of the Sun is not it. I love Pon de Replay, I like If It's Loving That You Want, but the album overall from lyrics, production, vocals is incredibly weak to me. One thing I like about it the most is that her island heritage is present in the music and aesthetics. And as much as we are uncertain about another Rihanna album, I would love to hear more reggae and dancehall inspired music from her now that she's an adult and has more experience. Purpose by Justin Bieber is one of the best pop albums by a male artist of the century so far. You know what? I'm not mad at this take. I definitely think it was a fantastic era. And speaking of the 2010s in particular, Purpose was one of the biggest eras, a masterclass in image rehabilitation and maturing your image from young star to young adult. Princess Purple Rain is better than Michael Jackson's Thriller. In fact, Thriller isn't even the best Michael Jackson album. The Bad album, ironically, is the best MJ album. I'm not sure if this is totally unpopular, I guess it depends on preference. But yes, for me, Purple Rain is a much better album. They are both great albums, but the adventurous production, inventive lyrics, and sonic world building of Purple Rain wins me totally over. The title track alone is an experience, and then you have When Doves Cry, Let's Go Crazy, Computer Blue. It is such an audacious album and it pays off. I think not a second of Purple Rain feels inconsequential. On Thriller, there are a few songs I skip. In general, Thriller is a bit more polished. Purple Rain has a lot more edge. And side note, Thriller nor Bad are Michael Jackson's best album. Off the Wall is. Cake only looks yummy, but after 2 bites, it's like eating spoonfuls of granulated sugar. I sadly have to agree. The older I've gotten, the less taken to cake I have been. I'm starting to find cake without icing to be far more appetizing than cake with icing as well. It's crazy how people did not cancel Morgan Wallen after his racist remarks and continue to give all these accolades. Meanwhile, people were so quick to cancel DaBaby after his transphobic remarks. Not excusing anyone's behavior, both are wrong, but people are so quick to give a white artist a second chance, but cancel and blacklist every black artist after one slip up. Here's the thing, DaBaby and Morgan Wallen do not have the same fan base, do not have the same appeal, so this comparison doesn't make sense. Furthermore, DaBaby was already on a decline, which I think some people tend to forget. There was a lot of complaints about him continuously making the same song, showing no growth, and his songs weren't charting as well as they once did. The controversy just added on to that. It wasn't the sole reason why he fell off. A lot of his female fanbase was also turned off due to the situation with the mother of his child. And let's be real, being homophobic has never stopped a male artist's career, especially in a genre like hip-hop. And DaBaby was also etching over into pop stardom. Morgan Wallen has a country audience, a notoriously conservative audience. DaBaby has also managed to score some TikTok hits since then. These type of comparisons really annoy me in general because it's like, people just take 2 names with controversies, stick them together, and play whataboutism. It's just deflection and it's annoying and pointless. And people never look below the surface when making these type of comparisons. And it's like people like DaBaby, Ice Spice, and whoever are not freedom fighters. They do not need warriors whining about a so-called cancellation. They are not an example of someone done wrong by the industry, like say a Janet Jackson. So it's like, why are we obligated to feel bad for them? They can grow, they can evolve, they can make better music, but their wrongdoing or their corrective journey is in their own hands. It's not up to the audience to rehabilitate these people. And yes, that's even if someone like Morgan Wallen is existing, being successful, and has a fan base. I need people to stop acting like these 2 audiences are the same, and that people like DaBaby are victims, because he is not. The following movie sequels that are often reviled in the eyes of most people as the worst sequel ever, believe both genuinely and unironically are actually superior to their original in every conceivable way. The Exorcist, The Heretic, is superior to The Exorcist. Shock Treatment is superior to The Rocky Horror Picture Show. Return to Oz is superior to The Wizard of Oz. Now, I'm not so sure about them being better than the original in every conceivable way, But I will say I adore Return to Oz. It is such a weird movie. It's framed as if it's specifically for a younger audience, but it has some thriller and horror elements. I think it's so worthy of a watch. It's amazing, and the critics were wrong. The notion that nostalgia has damaged the 20s aesthetic is so tired. Every decade has referenced a specific era before. The difference is we have the internet, and it feels more overwhelming. But when you think about it, the 90s echoed the 60s, the thousands to 70s. It's all very cyclical. I see both sides. I think people have this notion that everything back then was wholly original because there were so many new developments in the past decades like the 70s and the 80s, new technology and the emergence of new sounds, genres, and films. But at the same time, it's true that every generation heavily references the past. Even the 80s had a strong infatuation with the 60s and 60s icons. A lot of 90s music, especially R&B music, directly pulled from the 70s as well. With that being said, I do think we also haven't had a ton of new developments. And if we have, they're harder to reach the surface since the monoculture is so fragmented. And I do think we are in reboot hell. There's been such a huge emphasis on bringing this show or movie back, or directly recreating another song. I don't think any of this is bad, but people are fatigued because it seems to be the dominant theme right now. I actually like the U2 album they forced on everyone's phone that one time. Well, at least someone did. Older horror movies in general are a lot creepier without the need for all the extra CGI and modern technology. That's why the original It movie is better than any of them that come after. I think in a lot of older horror movies, there tends to be more of a real and immersive ambiance. They used more props and aesthetics. I think that maybe studios have really underestimated horror without crazy effects. There also aren't a ton of jump scares in older movies, to the point where it feels very orchestrated. There's just kind of a natural creepiness. I do think that older horror movies feel more immersive. George Michael is a music legend who does not get the credit he deserves. He has multiple hits and has had an impact in pop culture. I consider him to be a part of the big four of the 80s decade, alongside Prince, Madonna, and MJ. George has definitely paved the way for gay artists. His impact and legacy as a performer and especially as a songwriter and producer goes unnoticed. However, I'm glad that songs like Careless Whisper and Father Figure are getting a resurgence and younger people are starting to find out about him. I just wish people really listened to his albums and more of his songs other than Careless Whisper, because he's so much more than that. Yes and yes to all of this. George Michael was a thoughtful artist. I don't think people who aren't fans of 80s music or him in general will be aware that he's not just some pop star, but he's an extremely talented producer and writer that fought to be more socially conscious after his first album. Hot dogs are better than hamburgers at a cookout. I'm choosing hot dogs every time. I find boiled hot dogs disgusting. I do like grilled hot dogs. Burgers tend to be more filling, but I don't really have a preference for either or. I feel like burgers are more popular in general though. Cringe culture is making the internet less fun. Can't we just enjoy ourselves without people saying cringe? Apparently not. It's ridiculous. I do think the cup has runneth over when it comes to cringe culture. Like obviously there's no shortage of cringe things on the internet, but I think people just being happy and enjoying themselves can be a magnet for dogpiling and people saying something is cringe. When the Sun Goes Down will always be Selena Gomez's best album. Everything after that just feels like a no. This is a Disney Channel fan's best kept secret. If you know, you know. My Cherie Amour is an overlooked album in Stevie Wonder's discography. It's not his best album by a long shot, but I actually find myself going back to it a lot. I love how you can see so much creative and vocal improvement in that first handful of albums he released. And in this one, his vocals sound super bright and beautiful. My Cherie Amour is a beautiful album. The title track is one of my favorite Stevie songs. His classic period is very revered and rightfully so. I consider this album amongst his classics as well. Licorice is absolutely disgusting. It's like taking a bite out of plastic. I 100% agree. I've never seen the appeal of licorice. But anyways, that about concludes your unpopular opinions. Let me know what you thought about these unpopular opinions down below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching. Bye.